There was a red-headed baby born right there in that corner. Judy Klinkhammer paused and sidestepped, pointed to the hand-hewn plank flooring in the old abandoned cabin. She'd been giving us a tour of the property we'd just purchased from the out-of-town owner she'd sold it to over 40 years ago. She hadn't been back to the place since that time, and I could tell she was happy to hear of our plans to renovate the old cabin. Judy and her 3 young children had come here in the mid-60s, to this small, remote community called Mozart back then. They moved from Beloit, Wisconsin into a 100-year-old cabin surrounded by cedar, oak, and pine, and not a near neighbor for a mile or more. They settled into their new old home, high atop a ridge of Fox Mountain between Fox and Timbo, in Stone County, Arkansas. The 3-room cabin had been old even then, built by the Bosenberg brothers and their mother Anna from Memphis, Tennessee back in the late 1800s. There was no electricity, no indoor plumbing, and no city water, but there was a good, year-round spring not far from the house, and that made all the difference. Judy passed away in 2015, leaving behind a rich legacy of all things dulcimer. She was singularly responsible for bringing dulcimer music to Mount View, Arkansas. Ask any old-time area musician and they'll tell you the same. Judy was a lover of folk music, both urban and mountain folk music, and played the mountain dulcimer. She was actually very accomplished, quite well known, and much admired in mountain music circles. She not only played the dulcimer, but also composed and published several dulcimer music books. And, I'm just guessing here, but I think she probably enjoyed teaching the dulcimer the most. It would have embarrassed her to know how many musicians around the country praise her skills. She was just that good. So once Judy and her little family arrived on Fox Mountain, you might say the hills came alive with the sound of music. The sounds made by silver-stringed instruments floated down the ridge and into the valleys on both sides of the mountain, filling the air with old-time folk and bluegrass melodies. Musician friends, old and new, came from near and far to sit around a campfire or lounge about on the little porch and pick a while or all night long, sometimes until the sun came up. During Mint View Festival weekends, there had sometimes been more than 100 musicians at a time camped out on the grounds and in the woods around the cabin. Even Jimmy Driftwood and Willie Nelson, just to name a few, made an appearance now and then. Many a musician had a bowl of beans cooked over the campfire, and later on the wood stove, then spent the night in a nearby tent or on a pallet on the floor of the cabin, very near the same spot where the red-headed baby had been born. After a tour of the old homestead and a walkabout in the woods, Judy showed me where the spring was and told me about how she had witched the well. We returned to the cabin. Standing on the little front porch shaded by 2 huge cedars, suddenly, Judy stopped and abruptly turned. Looking off into the distance, she pointed beyond a clearing where the garden had been, to a ravine on the other side. Right over there. That's where the fireball from hell came from. It had been raining all night. Pouring rain pelted down on the tin roof of the cabin, and flashes of lightning lit the sky and turned the night to day, quickly followed by a boom of thunder so loud it sounded as if it was directly overhead. Judy's voice echoed in the silence. It was quite a storm, but the rain on the tin roof and the sudden flash of light is what woke me up. We didn't have electricity, yet the room was as bright as day, and there was the oddest smell, like burning wires. Judy grabbed a woven shawl, recent payment for dulcimer lessons, from the back of a chair, and walked out to the front porch. While she stood and watched the light show, her oldest daughter, 9-year-old Cheryl, joined her. The wind blew, the rain fell in torrents, and the air crackled with static. Suddenly there was a massive lightning strike, and boom! The sky lit up as if a switch had been thrown for 100 floodlights. Judy looked to her right to see a huge, white-hot fireball come rolling and bouncing toward the cabin. Somehow Judy managed to contain her panic and appear calm. She convinced Cheryl that they had just experienced something exciting and phenomenal and not necessarily dangerous, when, in her heart, she knew otherwise. They went inside and back to bed. Judy didn't want to wake her other children, just to experience the terror of what was surely about to come. Of that she was convinced. She pulled her babies closer to her and waited for the end of the world to commence. It was one of the most terrifying things Judy had ever seen in her entire life, and certainly the most baffling. She still doesn't know how to explain it, she just knows that she saw it.